Okay.
All right, welcome to the first video in the Metal Fab video series that I plan on doing and putting on YouTube. So in this course, my goal is for all of you to try to do some actual welding, and so to do that, I'm going to have to go through all the safety for all the welding stuff first. So that's where we're going to start. And today we're actually going to start with what we call in the industry PPE. And PPE is short for personal protective equipment. Now every industry has their own personal protective equipment, and there's also a lot of overlap. But if you can imagine being a construction worker, in Mr. Lundin's room, part of your personal protective equipment is going to be a hard hat. Well, we don't usually wear a hard hat in welding, but we do wear some other things. And so I thought we'd start just at the top and work our way down the body here with all the stuff that we're gonna be using. So whether we're going to be doing, I'm going to be covering 4 types of welding processes. 3 of these types use an electrical arc. One of them uses gases to make a flame. The electrical arc types of welding are much brighter. So bright, in fact, they're actually brighter than the sun. And so if you look at those arcs when you're welding, you're going to cause permanent damage to your eyes. And we can't have that happening. And so in arc welding, an arc welding helmet would look like this. First of all, we have, a lens here that's very dark. If you were to look through this lens, you wouldn't be able to see a thing through it. Maybe if you were looking directly at a light, you might see just a hue of a light. But if you put this on and tried to walk around, you'd be stumbling and fall over because you wouldn't be able to see a thing. The reason for that is what you're going to be looking at is so bright that it'll be just like a flashlight the moment that you start welding. The helmet itself, encompasses your whole head, because when you're arc welding, there's generally a lot of splatter and a lot of molten metal flying around, and so we want to protect your face as much as possible. I have 2 different kinds up here. This is just considered a standard welding helmet, arc welding helmet, and this one is considered what's called an auto flash helmet. And so on this one, you could wear this and walk around. The shade in here is equivalent to like a really, really dark pair of sunglasses. But the moment you start welding, the lens itself actually darkens automatically. It's amazing technology. It makes welding so much easier than it was when I was in high school and we had to weld with helmets like this. The difference is the price. A helmet like this maybe costs $15. An auto flash helmet can run anywhere from about $70, into the thousands, depending on how good you want it to be. This one right here is probably about a $100, $110 helmet. So we're lucky that we have these at the schools. Next to this one, we have a gas welding mask. Now this one's really just a face mask is all this is, and you would wear it over your face like this. This one is equivalent to a really dark pair of sunglasses. Gas welding is generally not as bright as arc welding, therefore we don't need such a really dark shade, otherwise it would just be too difficult to see. You can also find gas welding goggles and literally safety glasses that are for gas welding that fit over your eyes. I couldn't find any of these for this video, but we always wear the helmet just because we're learning how to weld, and so sometimes we do have, although there's not nearly as much splatter and molten metal flying through the air as there is with arc welding, we do have that occur from time to time with gas welding when people are learning, so I would just prefer to have the safest thing possible. Now the difference between all of these helmets, the actual darkness of the mask is called a shade rating. And so for arc welding, or the shade rating goes from like a 0 shade, which would be what we are right now, all the way up to 14, which would be this shade. 14 is the darkest. 14 shade is used for arc welding in general. This auto flash helmet has an adjustable shade range between 9 and 14. This helmet has, and so you can actually turn the dial in here. I know you can't see it on the video, but there's a little dial inside here that you can turn and adjust the shade on it. Myself, I prefer to have the shades up as much as possible, just because if you weld for long periods of time, it can be irritating on your eyes. But some welding processes like wire feed welding, if you're using a low voltage, will not produce nearly as bright of an arc. So having that lower shade is nice if you're doing that for a long time. Gas welding shade, this is a gas welding shade, this is number 5. So this is considered number 5. A pair of sunglasses, typical pair of sunglasses would be like a number 3 or number 4. But this is definitely darker than that, but still not nearly as dark as these two guys over here. Of course, when you're welding, you should always be wearing safety glasses underneath your helmet, because the moment that you're welding and you lift the helmet up, your eyes are no longer protected. And especially in our welding lab, where we're going to have other people around us, you don't know what they're doing, you need to be protected from whatever you're doing. And chances are, if you're going to pound something or move something, the flecks of metal that can fly up are going to be very hot and get in your eyes. So even though we're wearing helmet welding masks, we always wear our regular safety glasses underneath them. Okay. Now, another thing, especially if you have, long beautiful hair like me, is you want to protect the top of your head from sparks and molten metal if you're doing any sort of overhead welding at all, because you will have things that come down on top of you. The welding cap is meant to fit underneath the welding helmet. For the type of welding we'll be doing in this class, we really don't need to wear these, because all the welding we'll be doing will be right here. And so we're not going to have molten metal fly up that far in order to burn the top of our head at all. Okay? But an example of this would be if we were working in small engines and we had a lawnmower on a lift and we were welding on the deck of it, we might be underneath it like this. That might be when we would wear a skull cap to protect the top of our head from welding sparks. Okay? Gloves. So when you're welding, you should always wear leather gloves. A lot of companies are now making these work gloves that are made out of polyester, and they're absolutely awesome. But polyester is made out of oil. It's a plastic, so it's made out of oil, and it burns very, very easily. So leather is made out of cow skin, so it's not meant to burn, and leather protects your hands. These are a pair of actual welding gloves. Regular leather gloves with a big leather cuff do suffice, but a pair of real leather gloves is what's best. If you wear polyester anything, when it does get hit by molten metal, it will start to burn and melt, and then you have melted plastic embedded in your skin, and that's not a good feeling. Okay. Same thing goes with protecting your clothes and the rest of your body. So this would be a typical welding jacket. Now this welding jacket's made out of cotton, and cotton is a natural fiber, so yes, it does burn, but not nearly as much as a polyester or a rayon or anything like that's made out of plastic. It also has some sort of flame retardant stuff in here that keeps it from actually flaming and burning, but we have had instances where we've burned little holes in these jackets before, and they do get replaced every couple of years. But I do recommend wearing some sort of a flame-resistant jacket, or at the bare minimum, a cotton shirt that you really don't care for, because it's probably going to get ruined if you're doing any kind of major welding. Okay? If you're doing welding for long periods of time, then we wear stuff like this. This would be a leather apron with chaps, and putting this on is a little bit of a production. But leather is the best stuff to protect you from welding slag and sparks. And so in this case, I would wrap the chaps around my legs, and I wouldn't have to worry about ruining any of my clothes. Leather's very flame retardant. Okay. The last one would be our shoes. So I'm wearing, just regular standard leather work boots. If you're wearing sneakers, sneakers are not the best thing for welding. The reason why, they have usually a polyester top right here. Well, when you're welding, where do you think the sparks land? Chances are they're going to land on your feet and right on top of your shoes, and they'll burn right through that polyester and right into your socks, and you'll do a little dance because it won't feel very good. So if possible, you want to wear enclosed leather shoes. Okay, I have had instances where we've maybe taken something like this and put it over the shoes of students. I really don't care to do that. So when you're welding, try to find some good leather shoes, preferably ones that you don't care about, or that you're not going to wear to church on Sunday, that you can use to weld with. Another thing is that we need to make sure of is we don't have, and I know a lot of you do, the style now is to wear the pants that are all look like someone's been after them with a weed trimmer to put all the holes and the threaded frayed ends on them. Those aren't good choices for welding. The worst fires I've had with people welding is when they've had those frays on their cuffs of their pants, and they're welding and the sparks from welding land in their cuffs, and then their cuff around their jean cuff catches on fire and starts to rise up their leg. And it happens pretty fast, especially if you have frayed ends. So if you're welding, try to wear pants that don't have frayed ends on them. And also try to wear pants that don't have like a big, nice, perfect cuff to catch all the sparks and molten metal. Okay, I think that about covers it for personal protective equipment for welding. We'll also go over safety on all the welding stuff, but yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you. Cut.